Boom! I love being on time. And it is 7 o'clock. In fact, 10 seconds past 7 o'clock on a Thursday evening. I clicked the button just before 7, but obviously it takes a little while to go live. But I'm here, and there is something very significant about the number 7 right now, actually, because just in the last half an hour, we've reached 7,000 subscribers on the channel, which is pretty awesome and something I never expected to happen. And just want to thank anyone that's watching this for being part of the journey, because it's you that make this possible. And I love the interaction, and I love being able to help people and inspire people to get out there, and vice versa. You guys inspire me to do more and get myself out there and put out more content to try and help. So this is what I would call a symbiotic relationship. It's not one way. Hopefully it's two ways. I always try and read and answer every comment on every video. Sometimes I fall a little bit behind, but I try and catch back up. And that's what it's all about for me. So thanks for being part of the community. It is awesome to have, let's say. Right, we got a few questions to answer from the last week, and there's a few things I've written down that I'd like to talk about. And any question that you have whilst this is going on, pop it in the comments, and I will endeavour to answer it as we go. And Rob, actually, brilliantly. Hello, Rob. How you doing? He just messaged me. You just messaged me on Instagram, and I gave you a half answer. And I said, just ask me the same question in 30 minutes on the live, and I'll be able to give you a better answer. So Rob's question actually was about how to get a marathon PB. If you've already run one and you want to bring the time down, what are the types of things that you would do? So Rob, you said you're looking to run a 3:20 marathon. What type of sessions? And could I do a PDF of a 25-week? Oh, yeah. Yeah, I probably can at some point soon. I do have to work on the website. I've got all the buttons ready to click. It's just getting the PDFs and getting them up there. So hopefully, fingers crossed soon. Marathon PB training. Okay, here's my thoughts. And these are just thoughts. Other coaches might say differently, but these are my current thoughts. And I'll tell you why they're my thoughts. The first thing is, don't mix and match your training. Separate all of the different types of things you want to work on. So let's say speed, strength endurance, or speed endurance, aerobic base. Separate them into training blocks of like 4 weeks, and that's 3 weeks of working, 1 week of recovery. Don't mix and match. If you follow the channel, then you'll have known that over in Australia at Christmas, I was there, and I was running, I was marathon training. I was training for the Seville Marathon, and at the same time I was going out and doing park runs every Saturday. I was running hard, and I was running sub 20 park runs, trying to get sub 19. I don't think I did on any of those, and actually I ended up getting quite severe tendinitis. I did not listen to my own training advice. So coaches don't always get it right either. We're learning, everyone's learning. I would think about doing it in the future. I think if I wanted to get faster over a marathon distance, I would focus on 3 things. I would focus on to the distance. So it's called periodization when you blocks and blocks and blocks of training. But usually you taper down in your volume getting towards the race. However, before the actual taper in a marathon, you almost reverse periodize, where your base comes later on and you're doing the longer, less intense sessions nearer the marathon. And that's what I would do. So I'd do a couple of blocks of a real base stuff towards the marathon, longer sessions. Then, Rob, what I probably would do in some of the other blocks before then, I'd think about the pace that I would need to run to get a 3:20 or a 3:30 or a 4 or whatever you want to aim for. And I would start a block. I would build that in as intervals. So I'd go out and I'd be doing a nice easy run. And maybe for 1 kilometer of that run, or 2 times 1 kilometer with a break in the middle, I might run at the pace that I need to run for the marathon. And you build that up over time. So in that training block, you get towards the end and maybe you're doing a whole block of 15, 20, 30 minutes at marathon pace. So that you would call that a tempo block, perhaps, or speed endurance, strength endurance. I would also do interval training of really super hard intervals, very short periods of time, but super hard, to really work on that speed behind it all. Obviously, that's very aggressive on the body, so don't go into that just literally having no base fitness and going, I'm going to do speed sessions. You need base fitness as well. But if you did a few blocks of base, then some speed, focus on speed, then you focus on tempo stuff, and then you do some more base, you're probably going to get yourself, you're certainly going to get yourself faster. You need to be careful. And across all of that, strength and conditioning, always, and stretching after every session. Like, they're my 2 tent pegs in there. I make sure I do strength and conditioning every week, and I stretch after every single session that I do. Did that help? Did that answer your question? I will maybe try and put together a PB marathon training plan, because it looks like that there is some appetite for that. Anyway, next, moving on. So Rob, you've done 10 marathons. Okay, so there you're an experienced man. You can go into speed training. Good man. Priscilla, oh hi. Well, funnily enough, so Priscilla Bonilla, did I pronounce the name right? You're one of the questions that I have. You probably can't have to answer here. The Instagram is This Messy Happy. Same. Everything's This Messy Happy. Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, you name it. Everything's named the same. Priscilla, your question was you're a football player, and we call it football over here. You call it soccer, but same thing. And you want to do a half marathon, but you don't want to lose the football. What would I advise? I mean, a half marathon, really, you can get away with doing that training and doing your football, I think, as long as you really religiously have your rest day, and as long as your runs, when you do your runs, are nice and easy, you should be able to get away with the intensity of football in between. As long as, it's all about being sensible. It's all about knowing, getting to learn about your body. Does it hurt? If it hurts, stop. Those kind of things. And we all ignore them, me included, and you get yourself in trouble. And mine is an ongoing process of learning how to get better at listening to my body. I'm getting there. No one's a finished product. And if they are, they're talking absolute shite. Or if they say they are, not if they are. Right. Alex, how you doing? Finally, yes, you are live. Thanks, mate. I'm glad that you're in, and good to see you. And I hope you're well and safe. Scott, evening. Thanks, mate. Yes, really appreciate that. We made 7,000 subscribers. And I don't really talk about subscribers, by the way. You'll probably notice in most of my videos, some in the early days, I kind of alluded to it and said, subscribe to the channel. But actually, I try and do things on my channel that I like in other YouTubers. And what sometimes rubs me up the wrong way is when people ask for you to subscribe and click the button and ring the bell or whatever. It's not my bag. And because it's something I appreciate when I watch, say, someone like Casey Neistat, who I love, never talk about it. And I always make a point of saying, like, the one thing that gets me is when they go, hi guys, how are you? I can't stand being called guys on a YouTube channel. So I'm very careful that I don't do that as well. That's just a pet peeve, and, no offense if anyone does that. But I'm trying to model some of the stuff I like in other people. But thanks for being part of the journey. And 7,000 is certainly nothing to be sniffed at. I'm really chuffed to have got there. And I desperately want to get to 10,000 by the summer, because you also get a few different features when you get to 10,000, which I'm quite excited about. So Scott, onwards and upwards. Yes, you're right. How often and when often should you be using your foam roller? At least once a day. Definitely. It can't hurt. That's the thing. I always think, what is the limit on a foam roller? There probably isn't one. I think it's really beneficial at all times. So, as much as you can get away with using it, use it. I've got Mary foam rolling every day. I foam roll every day. If I can get away with it twice a day, what's the harm there? You're really helping your muscles. Matthew Pinfield or Matthew, I don't know. Hi, how you've started the holding maintenance plan. Brilliant. Okay. And it's given you some much needed motivation in the lead up to training for Berlin. If it happens, I hope it happens for you, mate. But do you know what? Even if it doesn't, it happens, if that makes sense, because I am training for London and I'm getting more and more convinced that's not going to happen with the social distancing measures that people are going to put in. But you know what? On that day, I'm going to allow myself to run a marathon. I don't go out much. I don't exercise out for long. But on that day, I'm running the London Marathon, whether it be in London or not, whether, it's going to be a marathon, and I'm training for it. That's my thought process, and nothing's going to stop me. And I hope that you feel the same way. If Berlin's cancelled, don't lose the motivation, hit it hard, train for a marathon anyway. then you're fostering intrinsic motivation, which is just such a strong source of motivation for me. Good, Rob. Excellent. Ashley, how you doing? Oh, brilliant. It's very nice to see you again. No questions, but you find my answers to other people's questions beneficial. Well, that's good. And that's what it's here for. So I'm really glad that is helping. Vanessa, hi, Ben. Cadence, how do you find your pace? Do you jog so you will improve or go faster, hoping to improve? How do you find your pace? What do you mean? How do you find your natural race pace? Is that what you're saying? Let me know in the comments what you actually, just clarify a little bit before I go off on a tangent, because I could completely answer the wrong question there. So if you can just clarify that, and then I'll give you a good answer to that. No problems, Priscilla. All happy. And Scott and Matt. Okay, Teggers, super insightful video. Thanks. That's really kind of you. I'm making what I think is a really cool one for Sunday, which I'll come into in a minute. And I just really think it's got this potential to really help all of us, not just in our exercise, definitely help in our exercise, but actually in our life and dealing with all of this and life beyond. Like it's a super interesting thing that I've learned this week that I'll share with you. Let's have a look. You'd benefit from the half marathon plan from the site in due course. Let me know. I always want a high quality free bag of coffee. That is for sure. Like Mary and I are just coffee obsessed. So I'm never going to say no to that. And yes, I appreciate that we've got the Costa ones that we buy from Seven Oaks, but you know, we are on board the coffee train. It is lifeblood, we call it. It is getting us through this. I kind of don't even miss my lattes anymore. I didn't miss my lattes when this all started because I'm a bit of a latte lad, but no, don't miss it anymore. The cafetiere or the filter coffee is perfect. So that I was asked this week and some of the things that I've learned. So I answered Priscilla's question about training for a half marathon. Hopefully that helped. Saab Sumal got in contact and asked for any book recommendations. And I was racking my brain because obviously there are so many different angles you can come at your training and your life in terms of books. And I was thinking, what changed my life and the direction of my life most, but what might benefit you guys. I said guys. Damn it. That's really upsetting. What benefits you out there? And I came up with kind of 4 books that are sport related that have really inspired me or helped me that I'll share with you now. And the first one is the one that I'm reading now called How Bad Do You Want It? And it is a superb book about sports psychology, and it's lots of Phoenix from the Flames type stories of super successful athletes that have crashed and burned in particular races, and then, you know, have worked on their psychology and it explores what they did and have then, you know, been world champions and marathon winners and all of that. So that's called How Bad Do You Want It? Super good book. Another one is Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. Now, this guy is a nut bar of the highest order, but in the best way. He has run ultra marathons, beyond ultra marathons, the hardest in the world. He did hold the world record for the most pull-ups in 24 hours. He's an ex-Marine. He's been through Hell Week 3 times. He ran ultra marathons on broken legs. He duct taped his shins together. You know, he ran it until he soiled himself and urinated blood. I'm not suggesting you do that, but some of the stuff that he has in his book, you will never whinge about training again. You'll never whinge about how bad a 5K run feels when you read his book. And it is really good. He's a good guy and he just wants to help people. He's a bit of a nutter. Love him though. Next one, Swim, Bike, Run. Ali and Johnny Brownlee's book. I just love it because I love them. And it was really helpful to read about some of the things that they went through in the early days and how hard they worked and how committed they were to their goals early. You know, their headmaster gave them permission to train during their lunch times at school. Now, those are driven kids, you know, and I think a lot of our kids that we teach or that you have would really benefit from reading, you know, those types of stories about really what it takes. So Swim, Bike, Run's a good one. And the last one is Bounce by Matthew Syed. That's a superb book about sports psychology and how it's talent doesn't really exist. It's a bit of a myth. It's all about hard work and work ethic. 4 books. They're very good. Okay, let's have a look. Any more questions? A couple more people. Hey mate, you're right. Currently reading Born to Run. Oh yeah, so yeah, what's that like? I have not read it, I'll be honest, but it's been recommended to me before. Same as Running with Kenyans, I think has been recommended. Ashley, oh, you just finished How Bad You Want It? Yeah, really good book. Good. Good to hear. Michelin star grade coffee. That's awesome. Thanks. Okay. Next thing to talk about is this. This is the concept, the psychological concept I'm making the video about this Sunday. So I don't want to get too deep into it because I also want to do a FaceTime with the guy who did his PhD on it. His name's Dr. Stephen Leckie, and he has adapted a clinical psychology model to help people find their best performances more often in sport. But I do think it has definite potential to be used in everything, especially education. And it's called the MAC model, or MAC model. And it's about mindfulness. Why have I suddenly forgotten it? Acceptance, mindfulness, acceptance, and commitment. So it's just to give you a bit of a background, he did a lot of work with athletes, top level rugby players, about the things that they were thinking about when they had their best performances and the things that they were thinking about when they had their worst performances. And what was really interesting to me was the things that they were thinking about when they had their best performances was nothing. They were in that moment right there. They were mindful. They'd accepted negative thoughts and they just kind of almost watched them go past, and they were there. The things that they were thinking about in their bad moments was lots, crazy amounts, like, so it's a way of building, I think he said, psychological flexibility or psychological adaptability, learning ways to bring yourself from these crazy thought times like we're probably all dealing with at the moment, right? Bring yourself from there back into the moment. This is where I am. This is where I want to be. No, thoughts are there and I accept them. I can ignore them and they're interesting, but they're gone. Like, so it's who here, let me know if you've ever been in a race or a match or something where everything, you've just been in flow state, where it's been like, holy shite, this is what I trained all this time for. It's all come together. I had that for the London Marathon 100%. I've had it for a good few races, actually. I've been very lucky that a lot of my races, the ones that I qualified for GB for, and even my GB race last year in Romania, London Marathon, it's been like, everything came together. I didn't need to think, I just did. And I've been very lucky in that sense. But this video that I'm doing on Sunday is exploring more ways that we can bring ourselves into the moment and get the best out of ourselves. And it's a value-driven model. So it's about constantly thinking at the start of this, what would the best Ben Bridges do? And bringing myself to that point. Like that's my value. My value is to always try and be the best me. So at any point when I'm having a bad time and I'm thinking about quitting, what would the best Ben Bridges version do? Back into the moment. How do I get there? All of those things. Really interesting. So hopefully Stephen will give you much more detail and be way more articulate than me about it, but it has real application for all of us out there in our training. That's for sure. Winona, hi Winona, how you doing? So you've been running for 2 years and your first marathon's unlikely to happen. Is it? Officially it is, but is it? See what I'm saying? So you hope to do the distance anyway. So I may have jumped the gun there. Yes, good. Hope to do the distance anyway is what I want to hear. You did 32K last week to fundraise for charity, your longest yet. Tips on what to do from here. Are you your 32K, is it in line with getting you to the marathon? What was the marathon that you were training for? Because you don't want to be up in the high distances for a particularly long time. It can be, it can be very aggressive on the body. So you need to work out where you're going from here, when your marathon is, when are you going to taper, when were you going to taper? I would always advise a 3-week taper for a marathon. you can't really lose too much fitness in 3 weeks. You can feel like you do, but you can't actually. And that's again, that's another trick that you need to pick up in life. All of us is you don't lose much fitness as much as you feel like you do, and that's really an important distinction. I often go into my marathons having barely trained either through a big taper or through injury, and I absolutely, I flew in Seville off of really minimal training and did a 3:06, and I was like, I could have easily pushed harder, but I'm just glad that I really properly rested. I think people overtrain through the taper. There's really no harm in getting yourself to the start line, is there? If we're honest. Okay. My thoughts on my London Marathon and New York Marathon experience that are coming up. Recovery drink, because I've just been running. Only a short one though with the dog and Mary. So we just been for a 6K. But the London Marathon is due to be October the 4th. New York Marathon, November the 1st. I don't think any will officially happen, which is a huge shame in terms of the New York Marathon, because the hoops we jumped through to get into it and then get flights, I just don't know if we're going to be able to make it work the next time around, because the dates fell right for us. It will be a massive shame if that doesn't work out. But this year, I plan to, like I said earlier, I plan to run the London Marathon, and I plan to run the New York Marathon in New York. Now, whether it's an official one or not doesn't really matter to me. I'm going to might run round. In fact, Alex, can you just take me around a marathon route, please? Because we were going to run it together well, not together, but we were going to run the New York Marathon together anyway, the same year. So, Alex, I'm counting on you to take me on a tour around New York and suburbs for a marathon, please. Or tell me some routes would be really good. Cis products. This isn't an ad, but I do love them. The electrolyte drinks. Really tasty. They do a lot of different flavors. I want them to send me stuff, but they just, I don't think they're on board with that. Just a small channel. Okay. Marathon PBs. I've talked about that, so I've written that down. Here's the one thing I'm going to talk about very quick. NFL draft. Anyone interested? Because I am super pumped the NFL, and actually I'm a Cincinnati Bengals fan and have been for 30 years, and we get the first. Excited about that. Who's with me? No one. Okay, just me. But I love it. I'm really excited. Okay. Melissa, hi. You lost a lot of motivation since the lockdown and took a 3-week break from running. Went for a 5K recently and ran it 2 minutes faster. Yeah, there you go. That's what I'm saying, right? It is unbelievable what a bit of freshness will do for you, and not fearing having a proper break. It really, really doesn't matter, because always remember, always come back to this. It's for life. There's goals that come and go, but this is a process-driven sport, as in you train because it makes you feel better, it makes you fitter, and it's for life. That's how I look at it, yeah? So taking 3 or 4 weeks off in the scheme of your life, it's nothing. And actually, like you said, you ran faster. Okay, Richard, do I think virtual races will become more popular? Yeah, do you know what? Mary and I were out running today, and we were just saying, I don't think the world is going to be anywhere near the same as it was before this anyway. I think virtual races will take off. A friend of mine, Clinton, who raced in Romania with me, we met him in Romania last year. He did a pretty much a virtual Ironman a couple of days ago. He went and swam in a lake near him, but he did 180k on his on Zwift on his bike, and then he's got an indoor treadmill and did a marathon on the Dreadnought. Did like a 10-hour Ironman. But I think more people are going to do that. That's how Lionel Sanders, the professional triathlete, pretty much trains. He doesn't go out, because I think he was hit by a car 3 times. So I think he stays in and trains. There is potential there for sure. Steve, hi, how's the back? Yeah, good. Thanks, mate. Yeah, fingers crossed and touch wood and all that. The back is holding up. I'm doing a lot more weights-based strength work as well as my Pilates and core work. So I'm hoping that that's helping. I've really reduced my run mileage and upped my cycling mileage to help as well for now. And I want to be a better cyclist anyway when it comes to doing the Ironman. So yeah, it's really holding up. I'm really happy. Fingers crossed and all of that. Dan, hi mate, how you doing? Yeah, I'm all good, thank you. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm probably going to call it there. If there's no more questions, oh, I've missed one. I've missed a few. Oh God, sorry. Let's just go back quickly. I've missed a few questions, just missed a chunk of questions here. So Stephen Brook, collaboration with me and Ben Parks. Yeah, do you know what? I really respect Ben Parks. I like his stuff. I subscribe to his channel. I have spoken to him on a couple of occasions about doing some stuff. I don't know how keen he is. He obviously broke his ankle, so he's out of running at the moment. But there's another guy called Matt Reese, who's a really lovely guy. He's called The Welsh Runner. Check out his channel. He is the guy, if you don't know, who helped the guy that bonked at the London Marathon over the line a few years ago. You know those iconic scenes of him helping. He gave up his own race to help this other guy over the line. Well, that's Matt Reese. He's the Welsh Runner on YouTube. So if you're interested in his journey, go and show him some love. He's like a 2:25 or 2:30 marathoner, hoping to be 2:25. So that's, super fast. And me and him are working on a collaboration soon. So that's exciting. Is it Yanni Heikkinen? Just fixed up your bike a few weeks ago and haven't been running since. Any tips on combining running and cycling? Well, I just alternate days at the moment. I don't see any need to do a brick session just yet. The season's not near enough. I just alternate the days that I run and cycle. I don't do them on the same day. And Michael, Ben, I'm on the 4th week of your 10K plan. Unsure what to do after. Any suggestions? I've liked having a plan set out. Yeah, do you know? Yes. Go into the maintenance plan. I know that sounds a bit crazy, but I think people rush through the progressions. I think people get to 10 and be like, right, half marathon now. Again, I'll go back to the lifelong thing. It cannot hurt to just do a holding pattern for a while, keep things ticking over, let your body catch up, let your body get stronger, and use that as the platform to go up again. It can't hurt. I took 7 years before I moved up to marathon. I really went slowly, did a lot of years at half marathon, and then I thought, right, okay, I'm ready to go. So I think that's the way forward. Don't springboard every time, just go up. Give your body some time to catch up. And Teg is in minus 15 degrees. I wouldn't know, if I'm honest. That would be something I would have to research a lot before I did, because clearly your body just trying to keep you warm as well as the running. You're just going to be tearing through the calories and energy way more than a usual marathon. But it sounds amazing. Mary and I want to do the Midnight Sun Marathon near Tromsø, isn't it? I think in June, where you start at 8 p.m. and you run a marathon from 8 p.m. and it just stays light. It must mess with your brain. But at the same time, super exciting, and I make an amazing vlog, I think. So that's another reason to do it. Right, is that all questions? Kind of answered. I've tried anyway. Yeah, Matt, Welsh Runner is ace. Good guy, really lovely guy. Oh, Adelino, math training, what's your opinion? Do you know what? Simon Ward, who's a friend of mine and a top triathlon coach, he is all about the math training, and I have looked into it. I don't think it's necessarily for me, but I still subscribe to the kind of 80-20 principle no matter what. I just, maybe I have to give math training a go. And if you're watching this, you don't know what math training is. It's maximal aerobic fitness, and it's based on a really it's a calculated low heart rate that you're really not allowed to go above in your training. It really feels like, a lot of people say it kind of feels like barely above walking, but apparently it has huge base fitness and aerobic gains. I'd have to try it. I haven't tried it. I like the way it works for me, my training, so I haven't tried it, but probably need to give it a go. I have read about it. So Ian, you've got to 307 on 95% aerobic training. Do you think sub 3 is possible on purely aerobic training? Yeah, I do, actually. Yeah, I do. There's so much to be said for aerobic training over the intense stuff. And I think actually a lot of aerobic training, you can still hit some pretty amazing times. maybe a few tempo sessions in there, so a little bit harder, but still not, you know, obviously high threshold stuff. But I don't think that could hurt, and you can get away with that still. It's not too aggressive on the body, it's just a little bit more. Michael Kelly, thanks. Yeah, take it easy. Yeah, good. Take it easy for a while. Alex, thought on fat adapted fueling versus traditional carb based. I've been reading a lot about ultra runners. Yes. So if you don't know, Alex had a heart attack whilst out running. How long ago, Alex? Like 6-7 months? I can't really remember. So math training is a huge benefit to him for his training, because he's back training and training for. Oh, you did an ultra the other day, and marathons. But math is great for heart attack running and recovery. So Alex is an amazing guy. If you ever want to find him on Instagram, he's Alex Evolving. So go and check him out. Really lovely guy. It's a year in June. Okay. So thoughts on fat adapted fueling versus traditional carb based. I'm very traditional in that I don't subscribe necessarily to the fat adapted training personally. And that's because I really believe that the amount of glucose and glucogen and things like that, the carbohydrates provides, you can't, your body at points goes to carbohydrates whether you like it or not. Even when you're training easy, like you start to go up a hill, your body will switch into the taking carbs. So if you're trying to adapt to just using fat, there are going to be times when you are going to get very close to the knuckle and what people term bonk in terms of training. My brother-in-law and I, when he was doing the low carb, high fat diet, he went white as a sheet and could barely make it home and things like that. There's going to be times when you're going to need carbs. I don't subscribe to the fat adapted training, mainly because I bloody love carbs as well. Like you say, I know there are endurance athletes that do subscribe to that. There has to be some benefits, but for me, they're just not enough to switch my training into getting rid of carbs from it. I just rely on them too much, and I don't do all low intensity stuff. So it's not enough for me, but the jury's out. Okay, I'm going to go because I said I was going to go at 25 and now it's 33. So I am... two more questions. One more question. Matthew Pullen, how do I get your fitness back after time off? Just start again. Even start from scratch. It's only your ego stopping you from doing that. So just restart, get going, and you'll soon build it up. That's my answer. That's the end, because we're having leftover barbecue food that we cooked last night. I always tell you what I'm having for dinner at the end of this video, don't I? Hopefully that's a nice thing. If you've got no interest, then tell me. And if you have any more questions for next week, put them in the comments on this video. Anything else I need to say? Thanks for being part of the 7,000. Whoop, whoop. Okay, I'm going to go. Have a good one. Have a great Thursday. See you Sunday. Have a lovely weekend. All of those things wrapped into one. Peace out.